There are many mysteries in Conan Exiles. What's in the northeast? What's up with the amber bracelets? Or maybe even, why are we on a cross? Welcome back to Raw Lore, and today in episode 5 we'll be discovering exactly why every exile is crucified at the start of the game. I've had a couple of comments about this topic before, and I think the answer is something quite interesting. Before we get started though, this video is sponsored by Savage Realms Monthly. Robert E. Howard's work on Conan's source material lives on even to this day, and Savage Realms Monthly continues that rich tradition with their specialised sword and sorcery fiction magazine, publishing stories by fantastic authors in the genre each month. Available in both physical and digital forms, Savage Realms Monthly is a wonderful showcase of the vast world of sword and sorcery. You can even click the link in the description to get a free issue. This is the first time Savage Realms has sponsored a content creator, so if you love the Conan source material, go check out their magazine and read some new tales of the genre. Additionally, they also have an in-game server. The Grindhouse is an American PvP server on PC running a small curation of mods. They'd love to see some of you guys on their server, so if you're looking for a place to call home, give the Grindhouse a try. You'll find the links to their website and Amazon store in the description, and of course a massive thank you to Savage Realms Monthly for sponsoring this video. So without further ado, let's get started with the cross. Probably the first image that comes to mind when you think of the cross is the biblical implications. Crucifixion is an ancient form of capital punishment practiced by the Persians, the Carthaginians, and many others, but most notably by the Roman Empire before it was outlawed in the 4th century by Constantine the Great, the first Christian emperor. Though it did exist before the biblical crucifixion of Christ, the symbol of the cross has become synonymous with it, and the Christian faith in general. So does the cross in Conan Exiles represent Christianity in any way? Quite plainly, no. As far as I know, Christianity doesn't really exist in the Conan universe yet, so I feel pretty safe in saying it's not linked, and instead borrows from the practice as it was prior to Christ's crucifixion, so no biblical connotations here. That considered then, what was the purpose of crucifixion and how did it end? It was regarded as a form of execution, most frequently used to punish political or religious agitators, pirates and slaves, where the condemned is usually whipped, dragged to the crossbeam, stripped of their clothing and then bound to the cross either with nails or with rope. They'd then have a notice placed over their head stating their name and their crimes, and death from this method of capital punishment was painful. It ultimately occurred through a combination of restricted blood circulation, organ failure, asphyxiation or exposure, and of course if you were nailed to the cross there is a whole breadth of infection worries there too. So with that said, why are we crucified at the start of the game? To answer that question, we have to know the history of the Exiled Lands. I'll keep it very brief as I've covered this in extreme detail before. The Exiled Lands was originally the home of the Giant Kings. The Lemurians arrived and eventually went to war with the Giant Kings. The Kings unleashed the sandstorm which turned the previously fertile south into a desert. The Lemurians then hunted the Giant Kings. The Kari arrived and aided in the extinction effort. The Lemurians lived on. The Kari rebuilt a new empire which then collapsed after an earthquake, and many eons later a sorcerer named Toth Amon from Stygia found the Exiled Lands. He spoke with the final remaining Giant King, the Warmaker, and stole the Serpent Ring of Set. He took it back to Stygia and offered the Exiled Lands to King Ctesiphon as a prison for political dissidents. He then also, unknown to Ctesiphon, did the same with many kings and queens across the world, creating a magic-bound secret prison for people of all kinds. The promise was that their prisoners would simply disappear and die in the Exiled Lands, but secretly, Toth Amon wants to use the prisoners to find powerful relics in the Exiled Lands, which he can then take for himself through the Purge to strengthen his powers. That is about as brief as we can get it. All that considered then, why put us on the cross? We already know that death by crucifixion is far from a guarantee in the Exiled Lands. Many have escaped the cross, either on their own or with some help, so what's up with that? Well, allow me to introduce you to a theory called the Great Filter. I've borrowed this from the world of astrophysics. It was given as a potential solution to the Fermi paradox created by Enrico Fermi, pointing out the disparity in the universe between the lack of evidence of advanced extraterrestrial life, but also the apparently high likelihood of its existence. The Great Filter theory is the idea that there exists a barrier to development, which would make extraterrestrial life abundant but after a certain phase exceedingly rare. Basically, the hypothesis states that some great event or condition serves as a filter to separate the weak from the strong. Transposed onto Conan Exiles, my idea here is that the cross itself is the great filter of the exile lands. Thoth Amon would not want weak people in these lands. His secret aims of acquiring powerful relics demand powerful and resourceful people, and thus the cross separates the weak from the strong. If you're strong enough to escape the cross, you'll probably be at least somewhat successful in finding something of worth. This is kind of scuppered by people helping others down from the cross, but the core idea still stands. The exiled lands has many filters. The sandstorm is another big one. Anyone too weak or too foolish to not seek shelter will perish, but the cross is the first one. Many parts of the exiled lands loop back to Thoth Amon and his ownership of the sands and the bracelets. When we ask the question, why are we on a cross, I think the answer is actually quite simple. The kings and queens across the realm who view the exiled lands as a prison or an area of execution see it as a death sentence, a way to permanently remove any threat to their rule. In reality though, the cross serves as Thoth Amon's form of quality control. Those strong enough to survive the cross and venture into the exiled lands will likely be strong enough to find relics, and then the Purge can swoop in and take them. The cross is the first of many great filters in the exiled lands, and it is Thoth Amon's way of ensuring that only the strong can survive. Of course, Thoth's mercenary purge has been pushed out of the exiled lands recently by the Stygian army. That throws a big wrench into his plans, but I think that's a topic for another day. And there we have it, episode 5 of Raw Lore, the explanation for why we start our journey in the exiled lands on a cross. Don't forget to check out Savage Realms Monthly. I rarely take sponsors nowadays as many just don't fit with my audience, but Savage Realms is wonderful for fans of the source material, so do go and check them out, get your free issue and show them some love for supporting the channel. Thank you for watching, and of course a massive thanks to our wonderful esteemed coffee cultists for continuing to support the channel over on Patreon. It's been a hot minute since the last episode of Raw Lore. If there's any burning questions you have, let me know in the comments and I'll see if I can find an answer for them. Again, thanks for watching, take care, and I'll see you soon.